Hello YouTube, this is Dakota from Bowtied Media, and today we've got a brand new installment of This Week in EDM, where we go over songs that came out this past week in EDM. As always, there's a Spotify link down below for all the songs, and just remember, this is just my opinion. Do not take it as gospel truth, so let's head into it. Starting us off in the bad category is Benassi with Feel the Bass. Maybe Benassi just had one mega hit and it was a fluke, because modern Benassi is a far cry from his iconic track Cinema. This tune is a boring, bass-heavy main stage tune that really offers so little value. Then we've got Cheat Codes featuring CeeLo Green with Go to Hell from the new Future Renaissance LP out now by Cheat Codes. Cheat Codes is really trying to imitate the success of Avicii on this track with a slightly country vibe and famous vocal feature here, but all of that soul had been sucked out of this one in favor of a bland radio bait hit. We got Armin van Buuren and JOA with Heavy. Not really feeling this weird, heavy techno cut with seemingly nonsensical lyrics. APOC is who? Is APOC a person? Because they aren't really on this track, so why are we talking about them all the time in the hooks? I feel like if you reference someone, they need to be a household name, but regardless, the techno production is overdone and pretty boring. Then heading into the meh category, we've got Timmy, Trumpet, and Zenit featuring ANYLIA with Afterglow. Timmy needs to work with Zenit some more because his best tracks come from these collabs. That being said, it's still a very vanilla prog house tune with a simple melody and hook. Then we've got Wilkinson with Come Down, a pretty typical dance floor drum and bass tune from Wilkinson with a simple song structure and melody. Then we got Kiesza with Ruin My Life from the new Dancing and Crying Volume 2 EP. Well, this track definitely embraces the sexy side of things. Maybe it's a bit too much at times. Otherwise, it's a pretty standard deep house electropop tune. Then we've got Getter featuring SXMPRA with Born to Stunt. First release from Getter in like 4 years, and it's surprisingly got no one really talking about it for some reason. That being said, it's this pretty wild tune that's part dubstep, part like pure rage music, all with this like hyper aggression that really isn't for me. Then we got Gentlemen's Club and Curbi with Stay Focused. A fairly, okay house tune that edges into some bass house and some garage aesthetics, but ultimately keeps things straightforward with that 4-on-the-floor beat and constant drum work. I overall thought the song was pretty empty in the end. Then we got Sebastian Ingrosso featuring Céline Dion with A New Day. A surprisingly generic track for how big this was supposed to be. The production is super linear, and Céline Dion's vocals feel like they could have pretty much been substituted with anyone, honestly. Weird track in the end that definitely didn't meet my expectations. And speaking of not meeting expectations, we've got Garrix and Alesso featuring Shaun Farrugia with Inside Our Hearts. These two really missed the mark on this tune. Easily one of the biggest letdowns of the year in house music. The production is generic and bland to the point where it's borderline indistinguishable from many other festival progressive house tracks that came out even just this year. I do like the mix-up with that outro section, but it's nowhere close to saving the song from being a bore. And heading into the good category, we've got Raper and AC13 featuring Kate McGill with Limit. I love everything about this tune except the lead synth hits. They're just so awkward and flat and seemingly take the energy out of those drops. But otherwise, I think the rest of the tune is pretty great. Then we got Rezz and Cable with Glass Veins. Back to back to back, pretty decent tunes from Rezz, but again, nothing overly crazy, although I do think the beginning of a real return to form for Rezz. This is a dark, moody, mid-tempo track with a lead synth that's fairly glassy, as the title would imply. Then we got Ookay with Speakers Knockin, a wicked bass house garage stylized tune with a funky beat and another glassy synth. It's a really short tune, but one with a tone and energy that has so much momentum packed into it. Then we got Feint with Hideaway, a solid new Feint tune that very much aligns with his now signature style and charm. The production on this thing is a little bit more moving and grooving, and I'm fully on board. Then we got A5 featuring Tasha Baxter with Snowblind VIP. A solid new modern take on the decade-old A5 classic, yet it didn't really impress me as much as I wanted it to. The harder trance vibes and dubstep drops felt like they clashed a bit too much, and overall I did think it was a solid tune though. We got Starseed, Cosmos, and Suave with Burial. Another beautifully harrowing melodub track from Starseed and friends here. It's intense, it's charming, it's serene, it's great. We got Jamie XX with Dream Night. A neat little leftover tune from the In Waves era, but a track that definitely didn't really fit into the main record, and rightfully so. It's a decent garage tune with a stutter house melody, all with a very relaxed tone. Then we got Mirage with Carousel, my favorite track so far of the few from this new DNB Exod alias. Yeah, it's fairly typical and falls into a pretty, again, typical dance floor drum and bass pattern and structure, but the production is solid and the song hits great. Then we got Bensley with Get Me There from the new AB double-sided single release. Not a huge fan of the vocals on this tune, but I love the production. A snappy and fresh drum and bass tune with lots of spunk and flavor. Then we got Shirobon and Pizza Hotline with Paradise Online from the new Shadow Cell EP out now by these two. This track in particular is a short and sweet little drum and bass tune that's got subtle hints of chip tune energy all throughout. I love the energy and the vibe of this track, despite it being on the shorter side of things. We've got Cartoon, Slimmy, and Carl Killing featuring Bloom with Overheat from the new Cartoons and Friend album out now. Friends, I should say. Fairly underwhelmed by all the singles up to this point, but this release, oh my goodness, is the strongest cut, I think, for sure, from the record. It's got a totally different style from the rest, with a darker, moodier drum and bass palette, with lots of stuttering vocals. I'm a big fan of this track. Then we got Hyper Potions and Boom Kitty with Night Terrors, a wicked new bass house tune from these guys that absolutely crushes. I particularly love the final movement and how it just takes things to another level of deepness, another layer down to hell, I guess. We knew Boom Kitty could bang like this, but Hyper Potions? Okay, I see you. And then Hex Cougar with Fantasy. This new hybrid trap cut has a real layer of color and brightness to it that's paired with a more intense back-end final movement. The vocal chops were solid, and I loved how unique this track felt. Then we got Nero with Destruction. Nero with a fantastic dance floor drum and bass tune that sounds like primetime Nero, yet also modern. I'm really digging this. Then we've got Company and Samplifier with Fire Linking Curse. I absolutely love the atmosphere of these off-drop sections of this track. They all fall into, yes, that fairly typical kind of Brittum, dark, and eerie tone, but it's a fad because it works well. And with that kind of Brittum rhythm drop, I was actually feeling this one, and I'm a bit of a rhythm hater, so this is top-tier rhythm for me. Then we got Jason Ross, Trivecta, and Last Heroes featuring Lily Alberg with Escape. A trio of now iconic melodub producers teaming up for a progressive house banger? The production shimmers and shines and very much keeps that melodub atmosphere intact, just under the guise of a really solid progressive house tune. Considering the house producers this week didn't do much, they could learn a thing or two from these guys from Ophelia. Then we got Pendulum and Wargasm with Cannibal. Wargasm and Pendulum feel like a match made in heaven right now. This track is aggressive, yet has a real soft side to it, and lets all three vocalists have their own shining moments. This album is shaping up into something really fantastic. And to the absolute surprise of everyone, including myself, in the standout category, we've got Kim Petras with Freak It. Kim Petras with what is the biggest glow up this century in EDM with this newest tune. And I've got to give a majority of the credit here to Frost Children with the production credit here, because this is night and day compared to Kim Petras's 2024 releases. This is the perfect blend of going for a sexy hook and blending it with strong, clean, aggressive electro house EDM production. And our emerging artist spotlight of the week goes to Zim Kadoka and Knockin. I don't know if I said any of those right, but with a new track, She's Magic. All fairly new artists to me, as they combine for a wild and wacky tune that's all shrouded in this wet, color-based soundscape. The melodies are all over the place, in a good way, and the track has so many unique movements. But that's been This Week in EDM. Let me know what you guys think of any and all songs in the comment section below. I'm so curious to hear what you have to think and say about, I don't know, all the tracks, but primarily the Kim Petras one here. But other than that, I'm Dakota from Bowtied Media, and I'll see you guys in another video.